Hi everybody, thanks very much for joining me today. Just in my backyard, I'm going to put together a video for you all because I've been getting more than the usual amount of questions about hammocks and what I use for hammocking. So I'm going to talk about what I use for winter hammocking, since winter is clearly upon us at the moment. I'm not going to get detailed into all the specifications of each component I'm going to talk to you about today, but I will, to the best of my ability, leave a link to the home page of each of the manufacturers that I talk about. You can check out their homepage, see if they have anything that might work for you. And if you're new to hammocks, or if you haven't even tried a hammock yet and you're not sure if you want to make a financial outlay, you can check out a video I did a couple years ago about an all-in-one hammock system that was very reasonably priced. It has the tarp, it has the hammock, the bug net, the suspension, guy line, stakes, everything to get you started on hammocks. I'll leave a link to that up here or at the end of the video, but you can easily find that video. Now I'm going to use some of the components that I talked about today in my next winter overnighter, which is probably tomorrow night. I'll post this video before my winter overnighter, so stay tuned for that one. Should be a good one. The first component to my system is the tarp. This is from Simply Light Designs. It's the Winter Haven. You've seen me use this before in many videos. It's just an awesome tarp. I love it. And it's also in snakeskins. I don't remember where I got the snakeskins. It's quite a while ago, but I know a lot of companies make snakeskins for tarps, including Simply Light Designs, so you can check them out there as well. So let's get the tarp up. On my hammock tarps, I use these Dutchware connections. They're titanium. This one is called the Wasp. They're extremely light, very convenient. I attach them with Zing-It. Zing-It is basically a zero stretch, very strong type of rope that doesn't absorb water. Really great to have for your tarps. Here's the tarp strung up between two trees. I'm just going to leave it in the snakeskins for now so I can set up the hammock and show you that. But I leave it up like this at camp quite often. It's up out of the way, and if I need to deploy it quickly, it's easy to do so. So here's the hammock I'm going to talk about today. It's from Dream Hammocks. It's the Danger Bird. I believe the Danger Bird is now discontinued. It's been replaced with something called the Thunderbird. But nevertheless, I'm going to direct you to Dream Hammocks. I own two Dream Hammocks. I think they're excellent. They're completely customizable, from the weight of the fabric, the color of the fabric, the color of the stitching. Everything is customizable. So if you know what you want, this is the place to order it from. So here it is, obviously with the bug net attached. This bug net is easily removable. It's zipped all the way around, and it safely gets stored up into the end of the hammock. And then you can deploy the winter cover. That's what makes this a winter hammock. There's a winter cover stored up inside the end of the hammock that zips on around here to give you a nice little cocoon to sleep in. Up in the end of the hammock, there's a little bag that you can stuff the bug screen in. Keeps it up out of the way. Of course, it's there when you need it. At the other end, tucked into its own bag, is the winter cover, ready to zip on. So here's the winter cover deployed. As you can imagine, it's going to trap some of the heat that your body generates. It's also going to keep the wind off your body. That's going to keep you warmer too. So I don't generally use this unless it's minus 10 Celsius or lower. So essentially what you have now is a single wall tent. So single wall tents sometimes have issues with condensation buildup. The best way to deal with that is just vent. That will leave some of the moisture a chance to get out, but it will also keep you much warmer inside. So now let's talk insulation. Now I have 3 different sets of top quilts and underquilts. This is my heaviest. It's from Hammock Gear. It's 850 fill down, and it's rated to 0 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 18 Celsius. Now this is a custom piece of equipment. I've had it overstuffed with down, so potentially I could bring this down to probably minus 20 Celsius. As you can see, they're just in normal stuff sacks. They're not even in a compression sack, so they can be compressed even further. As they stand now, they're not really that bulky. Let's get them on the hammock. Here's the underquilt. Just tons of down in here. It's very light. You can check the website for different specifications. When you're shopping for a down underquilt, top quilt, or a sleeping bag, my suggestion is to go for the highest quality down you can afford. The higher quality the down, the smaller and more compact the sleeping bag or quilt can get. This is 850 fill. It's very high quality down. It's also water resistant down. That could be a plus or a minus in some people's minds. That's what I have here. Underquilts are very easy to attach. They just clip straight to the hammock suspension. So this is the hammock gear incubator rated to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Now underquilts and top quilts are not 100% necessary for you to enjoy hammocking. You can easily use your sleeping pad, put it inside the hammock, sleep on top of that, put your sleeping bag inside. It'll work absolutely perfectly. I've done it many times. An advantage to an underquilt is this. You're not sleeping hard on top of the down. You're kind of nestled in the down. The down is up against your skin, kind of like this down jacket is, and you're getting the full insulative properties of the down. When you compress that down, you're actually realizing very little of the insulative properties. So that's a big advantage to underquilts. And some people find them more comfortable. I personally find them more comfortable, so that's why I use underquilts. My cold weather top quilt, well, that's from Hammock Gear as well. It's a matching set, rated to 0 degrees once again. I actually had this one overstuffed in the foot box to give me a little bit of extra warmth down around my toes. That's where I would tend to get cold, my feet. So I have extra down here in the foot box. So a top quilt is essentially a sleeping bag without a zipper. Your feet go in the foot box and you drape it over top of you, tuck it in all around you. It's lighter because there's no zipper, and you're not sleeping on top of that down. It's draped over top of you, and underneath you have the underquilt keeping you warm from the bottom. As you can see, this is really puffy, really nice. It's super warm. I love getting in this thing. Every time I get in this thing, I smile. It's just so nice and comfy. So let's get it in the hammock. Once you're nestled into your top quilt, you can clip this around your neck and draw this string nice and tight to trap all the warm air in. Believe me, this keeps you warm. So what do you think about this thing? It's my new favorite thing. It's an adjustable cooking system. Move that up and down, and I have a couple of these. I've purchased a couple over the last year, and I really love it. You can cook things in a pan, you can grill, you can hang pots. Fantastic little system. I'll be putting out a review in a couple of weeks talking about that system. Like I said, one of my favorite things. Not only are hammocks good for sleeping, they're great for just lounging. The next piece of kit that I have is this. It's an underquilt protector. Now I bought this one from 2QZQ. I'm not sure if that company is even around any longer, but you can certainly buy underquilt protectors from other companies, one of them being Dutchware Gear. So I'll leave a link to Dutchware, of course. This is how I use my underquilt protector. So the underquilt protector attaches much the same as an underquilt. There's a hook at one end. You just attach to the suspension. Run it down to the other end. So you want to get that underquilt nestled into the underquilt protector. And what this does in extreme wind or extreme moisture, like driving rain, driving snow, this is going to keep the wind, it's going to keep the snow off your underquilt. Now apparently it gives you a few extra degrees of warmth to your underquilt. I don't use it very often, but when I have, I've noticed a difference. Just keeping that wind off you makes a difference. Great piece of kit. This is made out of argon fabric, so it's windproof and water resistant. Worth having. So before we get back to that tarp, I want to show you one last piece of kit. This is called the Dutch sock. It's maybe the ultimate in hammock protection. It's a great piece of gear. I'll show you how it goes on. So this is really like a long tube or a big sock, and it's easy to set up. You just unhook one end of your suspension like that. Put your hammock through the sock like so. And reconnect the hammock. Now this is more for people who don't have this winter cover, but I've used this many times. My personal low in a hammock is -25, and during that -25 I use this Dutch sock. So you just pull it over your entire hammock and your underquilt, snug it up, and you are completely protected from the elements. So you don't need to snug this up at the head end. In fact, I never did. I usually left it open. That makes it easy to take it on and off. And there's mesh at the top. That's going to let some light in. You can see outside. And it's also going to solve the condensation issue. Condensation is going to come out through the mesh. It's going to keep you dry on the inside as well. So the Dutch sock is not meant to be used instead of a tarp. It's meant to complement a tarp. So let's look at the tarp next. So we just remove these snake skins. Now I find leaving the tarp in the snake skins is really good because in high wind situations, it lets you string the tarp up between the two trees without it flopping all over the place. Just makes it easier, in my opinion. And they just pull out like that. So there's my winter haven. As you can see, it gives me full protection from the elements. You can configure this tarp in a number of ways. You can hang it conventionally, leaving both ends open, or you can close the ends. I tend to close one end and leave the other end open. So if the wind's coming from this direction, I would close this end. That would block even more wind. If you want to block both ends, just make 2 sets of doors. You have a sealed environment now. So here's an option that I like. I added these pull-outs and poles to the tarp. You don't have to use them every time, but when you add them to the tarp, it really pulls the sides out, giving you even more room inside. See how that pulls the sides out? So here's my winter hammock system. It's not the only way to hammock in the winter, but it's the way I choose to do it. It keeps me very warm, comfortable, and dry. This one works for me. As you know, I don't always sleep in a hammock in the winter. Sometimes I like to sleep in front of a fire, under a tarp, or in a bivvy. Maybe I'll try a hot tent one day. The important thing is, get outside in the winter, have fun. It's going to do you a world of good, believe me. Well, thanks very much for watching. I hope the video was of some value to you. If it was, please hit the like button. It's much appreciated. If you're not a subscriber, please do. We'll see you on the next video, guys. It'll be an overnighter using this hammock equipment. See you then. Bye for now.